Ja Morant was suspended. No surprise. Ja Morant got 25 games. The star of the Memphis Grizzlies of the National Basketball Association with a contract that's set to kick in that could have paid him in potential 5 years, $231 million. That Ja Morant got a 25-game suspension. Before any of y'all argue, it was fair. It was fair. Before any of y'all try to dispute it, he's lucky it wasn't more. He's lucky it wasn't half the season, which is 41 games. He's lucky it wasn't for a full season, even though that would have been completely egregious, and I would have fought that to the death because he didn't deserve to be suspended for the year. The reality of the situation is that he won't be available for the first 25 games of the NBA season. And he deserves it. I don't say that with a smile on my face. I don't say that trying to be evil. I don't say that because I wish anything wrong with the brother. I'm a huge fan of Ja Morant's. But I want him to be around. And so what we got to have is an understanding in a conversation. I'm talking about, listen, all of us are brothers and sisters in the eyes of God. We're human beings. And at the end of the day, I judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Okay? I don't believe that you're a no-good bastard or you're a racist just because you're white. And I don't believe you're a saint because you share the same pigmentation as me, same hue as me. I don't fall for that. Okay? There's good people and bad people everywhere, but I will never apologize for the fact of having a heightened level of sensitivity when it comes to my brothers and sisters. I'm not anti-anything, but I'll never apologize for being pro-black. Ever. To anybody. Because there's no need to apologize for that. There's a heightened level of concern that I have that I think all of us as black people should have when it comes to trouble emanating from our community. If racist acts are being exacted against us, I got a problem with that. If we're doing stuff to ourselves, like shooting one another in Chicago or St. Louis or Baltimore, I got a problem with that. And I also have a problem with wannabe thugs. I'm not accusing Ja Morant of that. I'm saying his actions look similar to those who have been wannabe thugs. Waving around a gun for no reason. Hanging with boys that's pointing lasers at other people in Indianapolis like they said he did before. Dancing in the car to music while waving a gun, with a stripper while waving a gun and stuff like that. See, there's a little secret that ain't a secret that a whole bunch of brothers out there know is absolutely positively the truth. That's right, I'm looking at you too, Gaff. I'm looking at you too, Jay. I'm looking at my team in here. One's a brother from another mother. We know if there is one thing that the hood, the streets, Rough Riders detest more than anything else, it's cats who made it that don't have to live like that but choose to do so anyway. Am I lying, Gav?
Not lying.
Not lying. When you do stuff like that, that's when you piss people off. I'm from Hollis, Queens. Born in the Bronx, raised in Hollis since I was 1 year old. I was never some superstar basketball player when I was good enough to get a scholarship. Good enough to get a free ride. But I was never that dude. I was never some of the great guards that you saw in Queens, New York. The Kenny Andersons of the world. The Kennys, the Jet Smiths of the world. Or in Brooklyn or the Bronx like the Rod Stricklands and the Stephon Marburys of the world. The Wayne Pearl Washingtons, God rest his soul. I was never one of those dudes. Hell, I wasn't even Boo Harvey. You got to be from Queens to know who I'm talking about when they played at St. John's, by the way. I wasn't any of those dudes. I could ball good enough to get a basketball scholarship. I could ball good enough to be on the court with some of those cats, but I was not on their level. And drug dealers saved my life. Because what they said was, when you want to hang out in the street, you want to be on a corner, when you didn't mind dealing drugs, when you didn't mind putting yourself in that element and packing and acting like you was ready to do something to somebody, they hemmed me up real early. Excuse my language, but they said, yo, we see you on this corner again, we gonna bust your fucking ass. Get the fuck off these streets, and slap me upside my damn head. That's what they said. I'm just quoting them. I don't throw out curse words just to be called out curse words. Y'all know that about me. I don't do that other than damn or hell. That's not what I do. Because I imagine mama or my daughter's listening, or mama listening in the past, because she's still in my head. Even though she's in heaven, she's always in my head. But that's what they said to me. And you know what else they said to me, and I never forgot? We didn't have a choice. Yeah, we grew up poor just like you, but in the same breath, we made dumb choices when we were younger, and now we in this game and we can't get out, so it is what it is, and we got to be what we got to be to survive. You don't have to do that. And my ass was broke, trying to get a scholarship. Ja Morant is 23 years old. Ja Morant last year was making $12 million. Ja Morant signed a contract extension that potentially put him in position to get $231 million over the next 5 years. Down the drain right now. Because you wanted to wave a gun, because you wanted to sit up there and buck rules that and regulations that the NBA had put in, because you know they're big against gun violence. You've seen Steve Kerr speaking on it. You've seen Greg Popovich speaking on it. You've seen them abhorring and just excoriating politicians. When are we going to do something? Remember when Steve Kerr did that last year at the finals? When Greg Popovich addressed the media just a few months ago and was talking about somebody that got killed, and you had a politician talking about, we're looking into it. He said, look into what? He's dead. The NBA is not an organization. It's not an entity. It's not a commodity. It's not a brand that wants to have anything to do with guns. Nothing. You think they didn't tell Ja Morant that? You think that when Ja Morant ultimately got an 8-game suspension and came to the office of Adam Silver, and then ultimately in the immediate aftermath of that interview with Adam Silver that day, he sat down with ESPN's Jalen Rose, looked him in the face and said, yo, I'm not that dude. I'm not that person. It was not my gun. I'm not about that life. I'm not about that element, blah, 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 blah. That's what he said. Why do you think he got this 25-game suspension? Could it be because he lied to Adam Silver? Could it be because he looked him in the face and said, I'm not about that life. That's not how I'm living. It was an aberration. It'll never happen again. You don't have to worry about a thing with me, sir. I'm good. And then went out and did the damn thing again. Went out and did the damn thing again. So what I'm saying to you is, if you're Adam Silver, what were you supposed to do? What did you think he was going to do? You think that you're the commissioner of the league and you're going to tolerate somebody looking you in your face and lying, spitting in your face, figuratively speaking, and telling you it's raining? You think you're going to get away with that? See, one of the things that I try to do, and I try to do sitting here doing this podcast, I always tell you, I'm never selling out. I'm always looking out. And what I'm trying to do is edify you about the game of life in corporate America as it presently existed. And if you don't want to listen, don't listen. But if you're not listening, you're being a dumbass. Because here's the thing, and this is what pisses me off. When you got folks out there, because we'll point out how ill-advised this behavior is. We'll point out how you shouldn't do something like this. We'll point out all of those things. But we selling out because we looking out. So just let them go out there and do it, huh? Do what you want, when you want, how you want, right? But you got your hand out for somebody else's money. And you know where the BS comes in? Let's take out law enforcement. Let's take out the streets. It could be family. If somebody comes to you needing your money, Do they get to tell you what the hell they want, when they want it, how they want it, and what they going to do with it, no matter what? While they asking you for your money, you tell them to kiss your ass. But Ja Morant's supposed to be collecting millions. And the hell with the NBA. That's leading cats down a dead end. That's all you doing. You're the sellouts. The ones that lead dudes down dead end paths, knowing there's no win. But you want to be brave and emboldened and save face. Where's the win? Where's the win? Ja Morant is getting paid $33 million next season. 10 of it is gone because of the suspension. Because he's being suspended for 25 games, which means the most games he can play is 57. Now he's not eligible for some of those postseason awards. First team All-NBA, second team All-NBA, third team All-NBA, league MVP honors, blah, blah, blah. He's not eligible for those awards. Because he's not eligible for those awards, you know what else is compromised? His Supermax. So right now, whether it's my colleagues Brian Windhorst and Adrian Wojnarowski at ESPN or somebody else, they've calculated that this decision by the commissioner, brought on by Ja Morant, is going to cost him approximately $60 million. Any of y'all giving him that money back? Take your time, I'll wait. Any hands? Show hands. Volunteer. Volunteer. Gonna give him the money back? Hell, but they being real, Stephen A. They being real. I mean, damn, F that. You gonna give him the money back? You gonna give him back? Or you really think that no matter how much money he's making, because he's still gonna make at least $20 million next year, no matter how much money he's making, he lost $60 million. You ain't got no problems with that, huh? None whatsoever. You know you full of it. That is the problem. But it ain't going to happen on this show. Because on this show, we going to dot I's, we going to cross T's, and we going to show you what you got to lose and what you got to gain. I don't give a damn whether you like it or not. I ain't here to be your friend. I don't want to make enemies. But I'm going to call it like it is, and I'm going to call it like I see it. He cost himself $60 million. And let's analyze that. Do you know that the 2 times Ja Morant got caught, it was self-inflicted? It wasn't TMZ. It wasn't some reporter that dimed him out. He did it to himself. The first go-round, he was doing a selfie. The second go-round, his boy, supposed to be his boy, gonna put it live on Instagram. Live. I didn't bring up what we saw in the strip club. That's a different subject, although I would say this. Why in God's name would having a gun even be on your mind or in the equation when you had going on what you had going on the strip club? That's a different subject. And if you need a gun, waving it around all funny and everything, while you had that going on in the strip club, then that's a strip club you don't need to be at. And oh, by the way, that was in Colorado. 5,280 feet above sea level. I could barely breathe. I was waking up with nosebleeds, for crying out loud. But you at a strip club, breathing heavy and all, while waving the gun. Well, hell, that's another way to look at it. I guess you could say that's why you're a superstar athlete. You could do things other people can't do. Ja Morant is going to come back with a vengeance. Ja Morant is going to be a superstar basketball player. He's going to be on a mission. And I think that he's going to wreak havoc. He's spectacular. And I'm rooting for him. I'm not rooting against him. But I want to remind Ja, just in case you're listening, That wasn't the only thing you did, my brother. There are things that are on social media that you are doing, and your dad was right there. And I said this on TV earlier this morning. I'm going to say this to y'all again. I'm 55 years old. My mother, God rest her soul, passed away 6 years ago, Game 1, NBA Finals, Cavaliers-Warriors. I was 49. In my 49 years on this earth, my mother heard me curse once. Once. And that's when I didn't know she was behind me. Because no matter how filthy my mouth can get on occasion, no matter what proclivity I might have to cuss somebody out, they get on my last damn nerves. I never did that. Out of sheer respect and, dare I say, fear of my mama. Matter of fact, I'm going to do everything that I can not to cuss again. Because if she was alive, I know I wouldn't do it. Because I'd hear from her. I'd hear from her. She might call me up in the middle of the show. Watch your mouth. I didn't raise you that way. You don't talk like that. She'd be all over me. I bring that up to say, anybody, and I'm not accusing Ja Morant's father of not being a loving father. I'm not accusing him of not being a good parent. That's not my place. I would never say that. I respect that man. What I am saying is, if no matter what you're doing, no matter how you acting, if it is in a unsavory way, in any way, whether it's drinking alcohol or drugs or strip clubs or anything like that, and I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying if that were the case, there's a difference between somebody who does it and somebody who does it in front of their own parents. Either that person has no respect for the parents, or the parent has given them every indication that it doesn't bother them. I bring all of that up because Ja Morant wasn't just suspended for 25 games. Ja Morant has to go through whatever procedural measures he has to go through in order to be reinstated by the commissioner. So it's 25 games, but it could actually be more if he doesn't meet the requirements they've set forth for him. I have no doubt that a lot of you out there are appalled. But here's what you should take into consideration. If somebody came to you and they said you could play, you could do this job, and we're going to give you $12 million, $20 million, $30 million a year. But these are our stipulations. Wouldn't you honor them? We both know the answer to that question.